So we're going to review a Zatanna trade paperback today, written by Paul Dini, a writer who I personally appreciate very much for giving us the Batman animated series. This is a pretty hefty book containing 16 issues and a one-shot, and it has an MSRP of $40. I'd like to take a minute to appreciate the cover, which is really just well designed. Zatanna is a lesser-known superhero that wields powerful magic, and unlike Doctor Strange from the Marvel Universe, who is more kind of mystical in his powers and vibe, Zatanna's style of magic is more flashy and stage magic in aesthetics. Think of David Copperfield or Houdini. So this cover really captures the essence of her stage magic persona. There's a black background to make it very hard to see what she's doing, since you can't see her actual arms, and a flashy bright display of her name wowing you like a magic trick. I usually don't gush over covers, but I just really appreciate the cover that they used for this collection. Anyway, with the first page of this collection, we are greeted with a Janet Jackson Zatanna, which cracked me up. I mean, just look at it. You can't tell me the artist wasn't using Janet as a face model. This sort of segs into an important point about this book, and that's that there is a large amount of variance in art and the artists used throughout the issues, because it's a series of shorter stories rather than one large storyline. So with each new storyline, we get a new artist. And I think the longest storyline was 3 issues long, and this is a 17-issue book. Even though this book is a bunch of varied stories centering around Zatanna, fortunately you don't need to really know anything about her to enjoy them. There's a brief exposition in the first issue of the book, utilizing an imaginary rabbit character to quickly fill you in on Zatanna, but all you really need to know is that she typically combats the dark, demony aspects of the universe, which is an interesting contrast to her friendly magician stage show act that she does to make a living in normal human society. I've seen her briefly once or twice in some Batman and Justice League storylines, but other than that, I wasn't familiar with her before reading this. She apparently often is involved with John Constantine, who runs in the similar circle of dealing with the dark arts, and he's featured in the very first story of this book. All the stories in the book I found quite enjoyable, and I don't want to discuss them plot-wise so that you would be able to enjoy them if you do pick up this book, but one thing I wasn't entirely expecting was the dark themes of the stories. If you enjoy Sandman or Hellblazer, you will definitely love this. One storyline has Zatanna walking into a grisly supernatural murder scene. In another storyline, she essentially gets magically roofied, and I saw an uncensored F-bomb in an early issue. Actually, on the back of the book, if we see here, there's a small warning that says that this book is suggested for mature readers. After reading these stories, I actually felt quite satisfied because not only were the stories good, but Zatanna is a strong female character. And if you're rolling your eyes when I said that, I'm talking about the good kind of strong female character, not the garbage like girl power strong female character. I'll explain what I mean. Zatanna is a contrast to Constantine, who, although he deals with the same type of villains and stories as Zatanna, Constantine has his own vices and is often his own worst enemy. Zatanna, on the other hand, is a more positive character, and there's a point in the book where a villain basically asks her a stereotypical question of, why do you use your powers for the side of good? What's in it for you? And her reply is, the world's a scary place. If I can show people a friendlier aspect of magic, it benefits everyone, mystic or mortal. Though that's a bit of a cheesy answer, it does summarize why Zatanna is a wonderful character. Zatanna's appeal as a character is her wholesome resolve and attitude, despite always being barraged by a truly detestable cast of evil demons and characters throughout her storylines. She knows what is right versus wrong, and though she's not above magically messing with normies who piss her off, you as the reader are always on her side in her decisions. To wind down this review, I recommend you read this book. If you liked Sandman, Lucifer, Swamp Thing, or Constantine, it's a no-brainer purchase. I think it's a solid enough collection that even if you aren't familiar with those prior titles, it would be worth your time to read through. The one caveat is if you don't like dark themes like I mentioned earlier in the video, or if you don't like seeing occasional gore, you may want to steer clear. But otherwise, as long as you're 16 or older, I don't see why you wouldn't enjoy this book. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.